Hi everyone, welcome to this tutorial on how to draw basic characters in Illustrator. Today we're going to be using Illustrator CS6, this is running on a Mac, and we're going to be looking at how to create characters using just basic shapes and using this tool here, the Pathfinder tool. So what I'm going to start with doing is getting the ellipse tool. You can use the keyboard shortcut L. I'm going to draw a circle. Because I want a perfect circle, I'm going to hold down the Shift key, modifier key, which will make it perfectly circular. So we're going to start with that. The style I'm looking for are going to be quite blocky, bright colours and a reasonably thick outline. So I'm going to go over here to the stroke palette and just bump up the weight of the outline a little bit. Next up, I'm going to add some eyes onto this. It's going to make it quite cute, so instead of placing the eyes up high here, I'm going to put them down below the halfway mark, which is going to give it that cutesy appeal. And I'm going to copy and paste, which gives me the second eye. And just to make it a bit strange, I'm going to make it a little bit bigger and place it slightly off center there, just to make it a little bit weird. Actually move those around a bit. So that gives us the basis for our character. It's got no body, it's just a head at this moment. And I want to add a hat as well. So I'm just going to move up a little bit here. And to make this hat, I'm going to actually use another ellipse. And I'm just going to look at the top of the hat, like a top hat shape. So I'm going to drag out an ellipse. And then I want to rotate it a little bit. So I'm just using the selection tool here to rotate it. If you move your cursor off the edge there, you get the little curved arrow, and when you click and drag you can rotate it like this. So that's what I've done there. What I want to do now is form the front part of this. It's going to be like a cylinder coming down and sitting on the head about here. So it's going to be about that tall. I'm going to use the pen tool for this. So I'm going to get the pen tool. I'm going to start at one side, and I don't want it to be a straight cylinder. I want it to get sort of slightly more conical, come in a little bit here. I'm just going to go straight across for now and back up to about there, and then go back to where I started. You'll see the little loop, the little circle icon appear. That will let me know that it's going to close the path. I want to bring this top of the hat to the front because I've lost this front line. So I'm going to use Command Shift bracket, and that will bring that to the front. Now this line here is currently straight and it needs to be curved. So I'm going to select that, push P to get the pen tool, and when I hover the pen tool over the line segment it gives me a plus. Click there, it's added 1 point. If I hold down the Alt key it gives me the Convert Anchor Point tool. I like to call it the chevron tool. Anyway, so I go over the point and click and drag, and it gives me some Bezier curve handles. So you notice I just pulled those out in line with the line. I'm now going to get the direct selection tool by pressing A, it's the white arrow tool, and I can now just move that point down, and I have a curve which somewhat replicates this curve up here. It doesn't have to be perfect for this. So what I'm going to do now is start looking at adding in some colour and giving some sort of volume and depth to this. We'll make the hat red, and we'll make the body blue. So the hat's going to be red. Grab a nice vibrant red. That will do. And we'll put the same colour in the top of it. So I'm selecting the top piece, pushing I to get the eyedropper, and grabbing that bit out of there. And the body's going to be blue. So I'll get myself a nice blue colour. So to give some depth to this hat at the top, what I'm going to do is actually choose where my light source is going to be. So to do that, I'm going to decide that I want the light coming in from this direction here, so therefore all shadows will fall around this side here. So for the sake of this exercise, I'm just going to actually draw an arrow to remind me of where the light is coming from. It's going to come from that direction. So I could get away with drawing a straight line down here and shading this side darker and that side lighter. That would work. But to give it a little bit more depth, I'm actually going to use a curved line. So I'm going to push P to get the pen tool, and I'm just going to start off the top of this shape here and come down off the side. When I pull a Bezier curve out like this, we get a line like that, and that's where I want to cut this shape so I can colour this side of it a darker red and leave this side that base red colour. So I'll deselect that. Now to do this, what I'm going to do is just make a copy of that. So I'm going to drag it, start dragging those two things. I'm going to hold down Alt, you can see you get the double arrow to make a copy, and I'm going to hold down Shift. Now this is just going to drag it in a perfectly horizontal line, perfectly straight. So that's given me a copy of those two pieces, this piece and this piece. I've now got copies. You'll see why I'm doing this in a second. Select both of those, get your Pathfinder tool up if you don't have it available. You can go to Window, Pathfinder, and grab it from there. And this is the tool I'm going to use, which is the Divide tool. Press that one there. You'll see it has changed it slightly, the little tags off the end are missing. It's cut along this line here, but it's also grouped them together. So now I need to ungroup. I'm going to use Command-Shift-G to ungroup, throw away the bits I don't want, and this is the bit I want to keep. So I'm going to actually bring this back across here. I'm holding Shift and dragging, and we'll just pop it back there. I can now delete that original line that I used to cut with, don't need it anymore. I'm going to bring that to the front, and now I can actually darken this piece here. So I'll grab a darker colour. Now what I've got here is this really strong line happening across here. I don't want that strong line, so I'm actually going to turn the stroke off. I've done that over here by choosing none. And that in turn gives us another problem, because the outline now isn't the same thickness all the way around. So what I'm going to do is grab that piece behind, the paler colour red. I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to paste it in front by choosing Command F, which I've done. Now what I'm going to do is get rid of the fill. Brilliant. And once again bring that top piece to the front. I'm maybe actually going to lighten that top bit there as well. So there we go, some really, really simple ways of doing some shading on there. You'll notice that there are these little points on the edge there, so you can mess around and get your path more accurate, or if you're like me, you can just grab it, go to the stroke palette and turn round cap and round join on, and that does a pretty good approach at hiding those little sharp joints away there. So I'm happy with the hat so far, and we'll give this little fellow some eyeballs, give him some pupils. Whoops, supposed to copy. So he's starting to look quite cute. I need to put some shading on the head now. So for that, because it is circular in shape, I can use the circle tool again. The keyboard shortcut is L. So for this I'm just going to use a line again to cut. Same method as we used to do this one. Just going to decide where the dark should go. Good. And I might grab another one and put it up there. So now there's one line here and one line here that I want to cut along to give some shading to this little guy. I'm going to use the same technique, grab the back piece, grab the two outlines, make a copy as I drag them across, use the Pathfinder, cut, ungroup, throw away the bits I don't need. In this case I don't need that bit in the middle because I'll be using the colour from the background here. This one here I'm going to set at a slightly lighter colour because it's closer to the light source, and this one here, whoops, I'm going to set at a slightly darker colour because it's further from the light source. So I'll just drag these two back across and line them up. I'm going to delete those original cutting lines, and we can see we've got a few problems here. That's okay. First thing we're going to do is just drag over the hat. So I've got all parts of the hat selected. I'm going to group them and I'm going to bring them to the front. Second thing I want to do is actually remove these heavy lines off here. So I'm going to select that piece and this piece, remove the stroke, and once again we get that problem where I'll just zoom in there, you can see it a bit more clearly, where you can see the stroke is behind it and this shape is actually coming over it. That's because the path itself is there, so the colour is going right out to the edge of the path. So I'll just copy that, paste it on top, Control F, remove the fill, and once again bring the hat to the top. So we're getting a little character. He's coming along okay. What say I want to give this character some hair? Just going to move this arrow out of the way, move it up there a bit. So one easy way, if we've got a few circles happening here, let's work with some more circles. And I'm just going to choose maybe like a pale green for the hair. Ooh, yuck, that's better. So I'm just going to make a few circles. You can have kind of curly clown here. Just going to duplicate a few circles around the place. There we go. Now what I can do with this is figure out which parts of the hair go behind the hat and which parts come in front of the hat. So I'm going to bring the hat to the front, and then I'm going to look at, well, these ones here will definitely need to be in front. This one should probably be in front, and maybe that one there. But this one here and that one there, they can go behind, so the hat is actually sitting in the middle of all that hair. That one can potentially come up a little bit. I can see that there's a little bit of black outline there. It just looks a bit uncomfortable, so I'm just going to drag that one up to cover it. So that'll be fine. So I could leave that like that if I was happy with it, or I could work to get the outline going around there. So you've got decisions whether or not you want the outline going around each of these circles, or if you want it to be one shape. I'm thinking I want it to be one shape, so what I'm going to do is actually merge these together into one. So I'm going to use the Pathfinder tool again, but this time I'm going to use the Unite command. And you can see it's taken away all the paths in the middle there, and it's now one shape. And what I'm going to do with this is give it that black outline. Choose black there. It's giving me white for some reason. There we go. And I'll set the size. I think 6 point is what I had on the other ones. These two here, I'll just select both of those, hold down the eye to get the eyedropper, and grab that as well. It does look a bit strange having this line coming all the way across here. It would be fine to have one going to about here and stopping. So what I might want to do is actually delete a bit of the line work out of here. We need to make a copy, so go Control C, Control F, and that will put one directly on top of it. If you bring up your layers palette and just twirl down the layer you're working on, you'll see that you've got the original one and then the copy directly above it. I'm going to turn off the visibility of the top one for a minute and just target the lower one, so that's just targeting this lower one here. I just clicked on the button there to target it, and what I want to do with this back one is turn off the outline. So I'm going to come over here and set the stroke to none. Go back to my layers palette, turn on the top one and target that one. And this time I'm going to turn off the fill. So I end up with two layers, one with fill and one with stroke directly above each other. The reason I'm doing this is because I actually want to cut away sections of the stroke here. It looks a bit weird having the line coming all the way across there. It looks quite fake. I needed to give it the effect that the hair goes all the way around like in a donut around the hat. So I want to remove parts of the dark outline here and here. To do that I'm going to use the scissors tool, which is available if you click and hold on the eraser. It's under there. Keyboard shortcut is C. So I'm just going to zoom in now to this corner here. My direct selection tool to grab the black outline, just checking that I have got the right one here. So get the scissors tool and just click once to cut there, and I just need, because I want to cut over here, I need to get the the selection tool, select that C for the scissors and click there. Now I can just hit delete, usually a couple of times to delete the segment I want. So that's one side done. I'm just going to do this side over here. So once again just select it, C to get the scissors, click once, click twice, and there we go. One other nice little tip I like to do is, because this has got quite a rounded effect on most of this illustration, I'm just going to select these strokes and go to my stroke panel and just change the cap to a round cap. Completely your choice, this is an aesthetic choice, but it just rounds off those ends, makes it look softer. To give some highlights to the hair, what I'm going to do is stick with the rounded effect. I'm going to use the eyedropper to grab that colour. I'm going to make it a little bit lighter. Maybe not quite that light, there we go. And I'm just going to pop a few circles, a few highlights on here. Not one down there because that would be too dark. And I'll put one there and just use Command left bracket to send it back. And that will give me my highlights. Lastly, I just want to finish up the eyes, so I'll zoom into those. To give some nice bright highlights, I want to use some white pops on here, some white circles. To make those stand out, I'm actually going to take the whites of the eyes here, which are at the moment perfect white, and just knock them back. So I'm going to look at the blue range and just take them back like that, so it's a blue-grey colour. Set the colour to the default just by pushing D. Push X to bring the stroke to the front. Push slash to turn the stroke to none. Some nice keyboard shortcuts there. And push L to get the ellipse tool. So I'm just going to start dragging out a perfect circle here, holding shift as I drag. And another one there. And of course the last thing you might want to do for this is actually give him a little bit of a shadow. So I'm just going to give it quite a warm shadow. Something off black. Just going to pull out an ellipse there. And I'm going to set the transparency on that down quite low, 10 or 20%, that'll be enough, and just send it to the back. So now it looks like it's sitting on the ground. And there we go, there's one cute character done. So I could change up the hat, change up the colouring, look at giving it some little arms or legs, anything really, just changing its costume, changing its face, and get a whole series of these characters ready to go in no time flat. Thanks for watching, bye.